Hello, guys, and welcome to the Limitless Podcast. Right, my name's Theon Sims, one of your hosts, and joining us as always is your co-host, Matthew Preston. Hail up the people, and Matthew.
Hey guys, what's good?
Nice. And as you guys can see, we have an amazing guest on board. Right, he's a software engineer, now AI engineer. Right. We were talking before. You've pivoted now to being an entrepreneur in tech. You know, content creator, Prime Minister Youth Awardee, Sir Joel Dean. Welcome,
Appreciate
Joel.
it. Appreciate it, Tuan and Matthew. Really happy to be here. It's been a long time in the making, you know.
Very
So I
true.
think the time is not right. That's why we're here today.
Yeah.
Perfect timing, right?
Yeah.
Perfect timing. So Joel, I've known you for over a year now, possibly. We've worked on like a project together. Um, Joel's also the curator of an organization called Global Shapers, um, which I have a big interest in, and so on, and so does Matthew, right? But I was just looking through, and I didn't realize how many things you've done. Talk to us, Joel. Tell us a little bit about your background growing up, and how you got into this tech and AI space now.
Yeah. Well, I think my background, I'm one of those persons that's like a hardcore lover of tech from like a really early age. I remember, so my dad used to fix TVs. So we're talking about those,
Mhm.
TVs and monitors,
Big back.
CRT, yeah, cathode ray tubes,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. He used to
big
fix
back
radio.
TV.
Yeah, man. He used to fix radios as well for folks in the community. So at the time, there were no extra rooms in the house. For me, the only room that was available that I could convert to a room was my dad's workshop. So that was exciting for me. I didn't really see that as like a drawback. I was excited. So half of my room was like a literal workshop, like sits everywhere, soldering irons, old TV parts, computer parts, and there was my bed and my dresser. So I literally slept around tech every day. And basically what ended up happening was we transitioned from that TV era to the PC era where we were buying computer parts and like assembling system units. And at the age of like 12 and 13, that's what I was doing. So we did that. And then the satellite dish era came around. So we started building satellite dishes from scratch.
Wow.
So the DirecTV Dish Network, we were buying the aluminum, like cutting it, getting it welded, utilizing the rivet to like put the aluminum down, aluminum sheets, finding the transponders for Disney Channel, pay-per-view channels, looking at the signals, ensuring that the dish was properly positioned for the satellites in outer space. Yeah, that's how deep we went from I was like a kid. So that interest now is what caused me to go into computer science because my dad was really good with the hardware, but he did not know how to program, how to make apps. So I was like, okay, don't worry, I'm gonna be the best programmer ever. Like I'm gonna work really hard at this stuff. And that's how I ended up going to NCU, Northern Caribbean University, and pursuing my bachelor's in computer science.
Okay. Wow. That's big.
Yeah, man.
That's you coming from a far away because I know
Yeah,
you
yeah,
grew
yeah.
up in
In
is it
Clarendon.
Baypen in Clarendon?
Yeah, yeah,
Clarendon.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Hayes and Maple, that side of the country, Real,
hmm
real rural bush part of the country, but still, still good times. Well,
Yeah.
simpler life, simpler life.
Simpler times.
Yeah,
Truly.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So to where you are now, I know now
Yes.
you are doing well. We were talking before about you pivoting. You're now an entrepreneur, right? Can you tell us anything about your business or where your
Yeah,
business
sure.
mindset has shifted?
Yeah, so from I was in college, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. When I was at the end of my tenure, I created the pothole positioning system, which was a very interesting app in the time that won a local competition and really took over the space in Jamaica in terms of what technology could do. And
What year
from
was
that
that again?
time, that was 2012.
2012. You
So
created a
after,
pothole positioning system.
yeah, a pothole app. That was when like modern smartphone apps were just coming on the scene. Um,
Mm.
I think we barely even had like proper 3G at the time. Probably like 3G a bit. We're probably just going into the 4G era as well. So I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I soon realized that it wasn't as simple as I thought. I really had to gain skills, so I spent the last 10 years working remotely for several top US companies. So um, I've done my time. I've put in my 10,000 hours to really solidify my expertise. So now I'm really shifting into entrepreneurship because I think there are like a lot of problems that need to be solved. And it really takes people with passion, but like really deep expertise and understanding of the tech arena to address them. Um, Not saying that's the only way that problems can be solved, but I think it's an interesting perspective when folks who have scaled apps, I've worked on apps platforms deployed to over 150 million websites, over 100 million downloads on the Google Play Store, 400 million microblogs via Tumblr. Like I've worked on really massive systems that if they go down, it ends up in TechCrunch and The Verge and all of the major news sites. That's the kind of work I've done. So
Mhm.
I'm now coming with that kind of background and energy into the entrepreneurship space and also in the realm of solving problems in Jamaica with AI. So that's the part that I'm most passionate about, nation building uh, with scalability AI systems.
Could you name any of these apps that you worked on or helped to develop?
Yeah, so I worked on the WordPress platform that is like the de facto largest website platform on earth, over 150 million websites. So I worked on core components of that, the Gutenberg editor that does the page and post creation. I've worked on numerous features within that, such as like story building, page and post editing, media handling, a bunch of different functionality. I've also contributed to the Tumblr social network, so I was on that engineering team as well, which is a very popular social network. Uh, I also worked on WooCommerce, which is a major e-commerce platform that has thousands of stores online that leverages its platform for selling millions of US dollars in products and services each month. So those are just some of the few things I've worked on over the years.
And you're
Joel
doing
says
a lot
few
of
things.
this. You're doing a lot of this without AI, right?
Yeah, that
This
was
was all without AI.
yeah, this was without AI. So now with AI, I'm basically I'm in Jarvis mode. Like, no, I'm being serious. I literally, most of my code is like talking. Sometimes I'm inside my office, like shouting at AI, and my wife comes in and she's like, "Who are you talking to?" I'm like, "Oh, GPT 4.0, April 9th, 2014 model." You know?
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
Listen out the
Wow,
whole
wow,
model,
wow.
etc. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. Nah,
I mean,
that's big.
nah, that's it. So yeah, let me say firstly, before we jump right into AI, Preston and I are huge fans of artificial intelligence, meaning I use AI daily. I'm pretty sure Preston uses AI daily because he'll send me things daily. When ChatGPT is down, I'm there googling, yo, is ChatGPT down?
It
Right,
was
Yeah.
down
and it
yesterday.
just messes up my. Yeah, yesterday
Yeah.
I showed Preston, I was just like, yo, is ChatGPT down? Because I'm trying to do all of this work and I have all of this that I now I have to do it all manually.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy to me how much I have. Is it a reliance? It's almost like a reliance on
Yeah.
on on AI now, and AI is increasingly becoming a part of our daily lives, right? So I wanted to ask you about what do you think are some of the long-term implications of AI on even things like human behavior, social interactions? Are we risking too much by integrating AI so deeply into, our personal and professional realms? What do you
Um,
think?
it's a multifaceted thought process that we have to apply to what is happening with AI right now. We don't want to, one of the things we don't want to do is we don't want to stop thinking. Critical thinking is very important.
Mm-hmm.
So I think by integrating AI into so much of like our workflows, such as work and school and play and etc., it reduces the cognitive load. But what it should really do is reduce the cognitive load to enable more creative thinking. So that is the part of the discussion that we need to focus on. With any technological wave, there will always be folks who will try to go around the system, who will try to utilize it to just get ahead without learning, and you cannot stop that. When the calculator came about, people stopped learning how to add numbers together and started using the calculator. But there were mathematical geniuses that who basically went loco with it and just
Mm-hmm.
like accomplished really amazing things. When Wikipedia came around, people were copy and pasting information directly without modifying anything. I remember that back in high school.
Yes.
Then there were people who were actually reading the articles and citing information and generating some of the best essays. We can name any amount of different like technological projects or waves, Excel, etc., that had this kind of it's like pros and cons. So it's the same thing with AI. I think one of the biggest risks with AI is not just the integration, but it's just what it can do. So that is the biggest scare for me. Like, what if someone is very motivated to do something destructive with AI? What will they do? I cannot imagine it because I'm not destructive and trying to do anything terrible to others with AI. But if someone is on that realm or spectrum mentally, then those are some of the things that we have to think about, put the appropriate guardrails and safeguards in to protect the future. But yeah, I think it's great that we're so reliant on AI. I'm very reliant on it right now. My entire workflow, if I don't
Yeah, I
have
was going
AI,
to
is
ask
going
you
to
about
be
that.
extremely disrupted.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
What do you
I,
use AI for in your whole workflow and so
well,
on? No?
everything. So I use it for I do a lot of heavy speech to text.
Same. Yeah,
So I
speech to
do
text,
speech to
talking
text
to.
heavily,
Yeah.
always
You're the
talking
reason
to
I
it.
do speech to text actually. We had a very long conversation a Friday
Yeah,
night. For hours we were up there, we are standing
yeah.
and talking, and you told me about the whole whisper feature on ChatGPT. And since then, game changing, Joel.
Does it
Thank you
Yeah.
for
only
that,
work
by the
on
way.
mobile, or is there a way to get it to work on
So
desktop?
yes, that's a very good question, Matthew. If you have a Mac, there is an app that you can install. There are Windows variants out there, but I don't know of them. But ChatGPT, I know that they're releasing a Mac app. I'm not sure if they're releasing a Windows app as
I
yet
think they had
because
said they were
Microsoft
working on it. Yeah, but
yeah, probably they're
not.
working on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So once they release that, then I think Whisper will be automatically enabled on all desktop devices.
I'm
Yeah.
stuck here in the Stone Age then on
Yeah.
Windows. No love for
Yeah.
Windows.
Yeah,
we just
man.
we just started
Yeah.
typing. We just started
Yeah.
typing.
So, yeah, man. So I utilize it for speech to text purposes. And that is mainly to get prompts and like high level thinking just into the input window of a particular AI model. So I leverage multiple AI models each day. Primarily uh, GPT-4o and GPT-4 Turbo, and also Claude 3 Opus. Those are like my models that are, I think, are like proper work machines that can really get high quality work done. and most importantly, code generation. That's my favorite part of AI.
Mm.
Basically connecting the actual AI models via API to Cursor AI. That is my integrated ID that I utilize. And just talking to it and watching code generate in front of my eyes. This product is so amazing. It knows my project, so it knows all the files in my project. It has all the context, and it's like an intern that never sleeps, basically. So
Mm.
it's just always there to generate code for me. So I'm able to take on more like challenging goals. Like I'm really able to push myself self more right now. I've had some scares over the past couple of weeks, like really like, wow, will I be able to do this? Will I be able to make it? And then AI was just there. Like last week, I had to deliver a WhatsApp AI bot. So I was using AI to build AI.
How exactly you call it? Was it cursor? How exactly does it work?
So what it basically does is it's a platform that is built on top of Visual Studio Code for AI code generation. So how it works is once you open your project, it just scans your project and it knows the code files. So you can just tag a code file in the prompt. So, so normally when you're in ChatGPT and you're prompting, you cannot press like a at symbol and see like a bunch of different files that you can tag. But in Cursor, you can tag anything in the project. And once you're in a file that is actively open, it just brings that into the prompt, into the context. So how it works is it basically knows how to reference all the relevant things that you need to build an app. And it just pulls that in, passes it to AI, and AI gives you the output.
Hey,
Yeah.
I guess once again I'm behind because I had a project that I worked on. What was this? 2 weeks ago, Theon, where I have an app called Habitica, which is
Oh
like a
yeah.
to-do tracking
Yeah, I
app.
know that app, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the big issues I'd say with Habitica or that I have is that you can't really set times for activities. So you can set like a date, like you can say, okay, this is the due date. But what I find is that with tasks, it's good to set a time. So say instead of me
Yeah.
just saying clean the house or clean the room, I should say clean the room this day at this time, so 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then I'm a heavy user of Google Calendar.
Calendar.
So there was always that issue. So I would have to be creating something in Habitica and then creating a Google Calendar task. But then the other day, I think it was kind of because of our conversation a few weeks before that. You were telling me about all of this coding, and I'm watching the AI videos. They're talking about, oh, you can code with AI. You don't even really need to know that much. I'm someone who doesn't really have like a strong coding background. I mean, the last
Yeah.
time I was coding, I did computer science at Cape, but the last time I was doing coding was years ago, and I wasn't
Yeah.
like a heavy coder. So I was like, yo, let me just try. And I literally just asked AI. It was Chat GPT. I asked it every step from the beginning to the end. At first, it was telling me, okay, use Zapier. But then I was like, wait, I'm going to have to pay for Zapier. And I was like,
Yeah.
damn, I was like, am I going to just stop here? But then I was like, wait, let me ask the AI, is there a way I can do this for free? And it said, yes, of course. Da-da-dum-dum. Tells you exactly what to do. I did it. I connected it. And then I was able to literally connect it now. And there's a script that automatically runs that will convert the stuff from Habitica to Google Calendar.
Nice.
And I was just like, wow, like my mind was
Yeah.
blown. I'm like, I'm not a coder. And I was able to do something
Nice.
like, if I show you the code, I mean, maybe for you, it's like, oh, that's simple. But like, when I'm looking at the
No, that's
code, I'm like,
amazing.
all
That's
of
an
these
amazing
different
kind of
levels and
integration.
these
Yeah.
words. And I'm like, what is, I'm just like, wow, my mind was blown. Mine was blown there. So I
Yeah.
definitely see how, if it can make me, someone who doesn't have much coding experience, able to do that, all you really have to do. Like, I was talking to someone maybe a few months ago. We were talking about the same thing you were saying about there's pros and cons of AI. There's the con that, some people will just not really think and just use it to do all their homework and go through school, and then they don't know, or they didn't really learn. But then there's the people that can use it as a tool, and it's almost like there's going to be a new skill. Prompt engineering is going to be a skill. So maybe you don't know how to do the task directly by yourself, but
Yeah.
you can understand how to engineer the prompts to be able to do that, and that will be a skill that will be needed. So Yeah, we're big fan of AI. Big fan of AI.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely where the world is moving. So currently, the next generation of models are in training. I think probably we're going to be looking at GPT-5. When that generation of models come out, I know it's going to blow our socks off. Like, I just know that it's going to be really some powerful capabilities. And what we're now going to be seeing is agentic workflows. So now, tiny agents, a task like what you mentioned, Matthew, you would just tell the AI that you want to do it, and it would just build the entire project out in the background and then just present you that project as a result. So those are the kind of systems that we're going to be encountering in the next phase of AI, which will be very interesting. So yeah, apart from like code generation, I utilize it to do a bunch of other stuff like automation. So I utilize it to write code that automates things, which has been very fun. For example, I have a use case where I needed to click on an email and accept something. Uh, I didn't want to do it manually, so I spun up a server that opens the email, clicks on it, goes into the site, navigates around a whole other app like a human, all code generated in AI. Code that would have taken me weeks, I generated like 5 minutes, probably.
Wow.
Yeah, it's something
Because it's
else.
really complex. Like, I will take like an entire web page that's like 1,000 lines and just dump it into Claude and just say, hey, I need data from this site. Can you analyze and write a script that will extract all this information? And it just does it. Normally, I'd have to manually go through that HTML. So those are some of the things I'm doing. And then I'm also experimenting in AI marketing, which is more like a secret project right now. But basically, leveraging AI to market on my behalf. I ran a test this morning with a workflow, and I already have around 300 views on one experiment with 50 likes, just fully AI generated workflow for marketing. So
Wow.
that's the real level. That's my core, one of the core parts of my focus right now, because the thing is this, like, it doesn't matter how amazing AI is. If you cannot market to people and if you cannot give people solutions that will help their lives, then it doesn't really matter, you know? That's what I think. So
Agreed.
I want us to be very practical with AI, practical about the AI wave. And the bubble is real and it's exciting. But like when you step out of it, like what I really want to see is this is one of my dreams, an older person here in Jamaica leveraging AI. And I won't stop until it's realized. Like someone who is not really that tech savvy, but they call a phone number and they're giving instructions to AI, in patois, getting some results. Hey, what bus there? And the AI is like, the bus is in Nagohead, approaching you in 3 minutes. Just hold
Yeah.
on. And as soon as the bus is almost there, it rings them and says, the bus is here, look out for it. And they step on. Just seamless. It's like AI has no UI. It's just everywhere,
We said
You know,
JUTC app incoming.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, those are some of the things I like. I'm very passionate about fixing the transportation challenges that we have here in Jamaica. That's one of like my passions.
yeah.
I would love to see it fixed. I would love to share insights about it being fixed or just watching it unfold. But if I were able to do that, that would be an interesting project. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I have really bad road rage. I'm so glad none of you guys have really driven with me. But just sitting in traffic, it wastes so much of my time. Right.
Yeah.
Even sometimes when I'm in traffic, I'll just be talking to ChatGPT because I need to be doing things. Like I feel very unproductive just sitting in
Yeah.
traffic in the mornings and so on. So I that's a problem I would love to also solve or have solved
Yeah.
because I just think it's a waste of productivity for the nation.
Yeah,
Imagine if it's me multiplied by hundreds of thousands, couple of 100,000 people, and that's just in Kingston, right?
yeah,
Just people coming from Portmore to work and so on, and people that just can't get transportation in rural communities and so on. If that could be solved, and there was, I think, I don't know if you were the person that tweeted it or somebody tweeted it, but a simple solution was what we did in COVID, work from home or having a hybrid work society or so on. Like,
yeah,
I think that if you're giving people the option, right? Because not
yeah,
everybody, being realistic, not everybody may have the resources at home. It may not be as comfortable, may not have AC at home. That's fine. But if you have the option, and if it's a more task driven or a task oriented work system or workflow,
yes, yes.
right, then I'm pretty sure it could be done. I don't know what I guess the hesitancy is. I would say, and that probably leads me to another question, like in terms of the barriers to adopting AI in businesses, governments, what do you think those main barriers are, and how you think some of these challenges can be overcome? Because
That's a very good question.
yeah, go ahead.
Thought about a lot, probably daily, because I'm always thinking about this stuff. I think it's going to require like a lot of servant leadership, like people like me, people like us who have these kinds of skills and like the understanding of AI to really showcase that it can be done. So how I approach AI right now is I I talk about it, but a lot of time you folks will just see me go radio silent. Like I'll disappear from socials. I will not be posting a lot because I'm actually building.
Hmm.
Last week when I built the WhatsApp AI bot and it was able to receive voice notes, or I sent it a voice note, AI understood the voice note and generated a response with a voice note. That was like groundbreaking for me. When I presented it to the stakeholders, everyone was like excited. They were like, "Whoa, it actually works. We have a real AI that you can talk to via WhatsApp." And that for me is the real work that needs to be done. We need people who will build real solutions that people can see and understand and integrate with. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the workforce needs business software, like workforce specific software that employers can utilize to ensure that they're getting productivity and performance, that employees can utilize to ensure that they have work life balance and their voices are being heard. So we need solutions that are covering both bases, because the only reason why folks are back in the office is because there is no solution for that challenge. And that's a challenge that AI can solve. For the roads, we need AI traffic monitoring, which is a very interesting part of AI that I'm very excited about. We're
Tell
talking
us about
about,
it. Yeah.
so we're talking about putting these vision models onto a camera and basically giving a camera brains. So
How would that?
every single camera is like a mini AI agent that has a
Okay.
specific task of what its purpose in life. That's its entire purpose. We provide the compute and it executes that purpose like it's its mission and goal.
So it would control like the street lights or the traffic lights possibly, and
Yeah, or even just feed information. So, like for example, it could help to you could put a camera that enforces that there should be no dark tints on cars. So the prompt is, for every car that you see, take a picture and evaluate if you think that tint is dark. If you think the tint is dark, then extract the license plate from the image. Also, you can tell if this is a private or if it's public transportation by looking at the type of license plate. That exact prompt could be translated into parameters for a vision model that is actually monitoring the frames being streamed from a camera that is mounted anywhere in the country. So that is one of the applications. And then we're talking
Interesting.
about things like Jamaica AI that is utilized for crime fighting and enforcement of rules. adding some of these vision models onto it as well, and then they just feed that information back up to a state-of-the-art model such as GPT-4o or Claude 3 Opus. That's like the brain of the operations to evaluate various things that we would want to get resolved, you know?
Yeah, because I could even think of there might be traffic issues with based on maybe the timing of like
Yeah, man.
stoplights and so on, that it could just give recommendations for maybe
Yeah,
this
man. Just
stoplight.
counting.
Yeah, just counting things like that.
Counting and just seeing what's happening at the stoplight.
Mm-hmm.
So the model is now recording a video, recording different videos, chunking it up into pieces, and then you pass it a prompt and say, give me back a report on how traffic occurred in between these segments, extract key insights. So you actually know what was taking place. So we have never been able to do that before because we have never been able to reason over video. So
True.
once we can reason over video, the real AI fun begins. That's where the fun is, I'm telling you.
No,
I
the
was
capabilities are crazy.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead,
man.
was
Preston.
watching I remember it was maybe a podcast, like it might have been with Sam Altman or one of the other AI developers or in that space.
Yeah.
And what he was talking about, I think it was Sam Altman. He was saying that think about the world the last say 50 years, you know. One of the things that was, you know, behind the development of the global population was energy. So we were working on getting the cost of energy down. So, you
Yeah.
know, because before you needed energy, so we had the machines, but then, you know, the bottleneck was, okay, to run the machines, you need energy. Energy was expensive. So we got that cost down. So it's like the world is now changing so that intelligence is now going to be that resource that right now, before AI models and machine learning, it was very expensive. You had to train someone for months. So imagine that same traffic thing you're talking about. Imagine doing that manually. So you
Yeah.
technically could have done that before, where you could have had thousands of people looking on the cameras, doing all of
Yeah.
that. But now you'll be able to essentially have a model, whichever model you choose or whatever, that can do that. So it's like the whole world is going to change because intelligence is going to be a commodity. It'll be like, okay, a lot easier to get intelligence. You can just buy
Exactly.
a PhD level intelligence just like this for a
That's the world
subscription
we're
a
heading
month.
into. Yeah.
And it's just like, wow, like crazy times are gonna, I mean, like I even saw, I think there was a headline, there was an article that like a lot of the AI models and stuff are now coming up with different things. Like there was one where that thing possibly found some new lithium alloy that could possibly increase the storage of lithium batteries significantly. So there's even something like that where a
Big.
model can help us, you know, with climate change and to cut down our CO2 emissions. So even things like
Yeah.
that. There are the cons. I do agree that, you know, like I don't know if do you know Mo Gadat? Gadat? He was a big Google employee. He did like a podcast episode with a guy on the Diary of a
Mm-hmm.
CEO, and he spoke about he even wrote a book about it's like the whole dark side of AI
Yeah.
and how, you know, how we can really, you know, he goes, it's beautiful because he goes through the history of AI. Like he talks about the AI models that they were creating to
Mm-hmm.
do chess. And it was like they started out the model.
AlphaGo. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was AlphaGo and some other ones, like
Yeah.
different games like chess and whatever. And it would start out like really bad. And then within just a few hours, it became like, okay, good, like could beat most people. And then within maybe a few more hours, it became a grandmaster and was literally destroying every other person consistently. And it was just
Yeah.
showing you like how fast the models can grow. Like even something like ChatGPT 4, people think that okay, maybe GPT-5 when it comes out might just be like a little more, but like the likely exponential improvement is gonna be, you know, crazy. Like it's gonna be
Yeah.
even hard to comprehend just how good the model is going to become. So
We're
yeah,
looking
it's
at
just
Yeah.
Sora
interesting
now,
times ahead.
right?
Yeah, even
Sora with image and video generation.
Yeah.
I
Video
personally
generation.
didn't think it would come out that quickly. In fact, based on
Yeah.
the timelines that people were saying, it would have taken maybe about 2 years or so on.
it's out fully
Or
now.
it's not
No,
out.
it's
No,
not.
we
It's
don't
not
have
out
Oh
fully.
access.
Yeah.
No,
Because
but
of the
for
compute challenges, but it's
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I
but to
was even
see
thinking
them,
about how
to see
many
how
businesses are
realistic,
killed.
Yeah,
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 it
to
looks
see
really,
how
really good.
realistic, yeah, it does look
Yeah.
pretty good. And
So,
imagine how that would look in a year's time,
yeah.
you know?
So, so
Hmm.
what we're moving into is the world of multimodal models. In the last Chat GPT demo series, we had a taste of that. Basically, low latency AI systems you can interact with voice, text, images, videos, which think of videos as images in a sense because all they are doing is just streaming the frames. Like
Yeah.
each second of the video in as a picture, but it's a collective, so you can reason over, multiple images. But yeah, that is also going to be a very interesting thing, especially for the customer, um, the customer management segment for call centers. Like they won't be removed or the industry won't like crash or anything, but there will be shifts and changes in terms of how the industry functions. Because we are now moving into an era where we will have AIs that can respond to various queries. I just built one that is connected to a very complex knowledge base, and it was actually pulling answers from that knowledge base, and I'm restricting it to only pulling answers from that knowledge base. So it's not just generating random
Hallucinating.
things. Exactly.
Mm.
So I'm putting in some really interesting controls as I improve that bot to lessen hallucination by just really indexing data well, chunking data, providing appropriate citations with the data as well, so that the AI can reason over the knowledge appropriately, and being just really domain specific. So we're going to see a lot of those systems popping up in the world, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. Robotics is having a big boost right now. And I think that's something that people are not really seeing. But I'm telling you, robots are going to get so good so fast. Like, I
Mm.
just know it. I know it that,
Yeah. Open AI, I saw, I think I read an article recently that Open AI and other investors, I think like Bezos and some other people, they're backing this startup called Figo. And
figure.
Figo
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
essentially like they manufacture, they're working, I think they don't really have much, it's not like they're pumping out a lot of different machines right now, but they're making humanoid robots. And
Yeah,
they're essentially thinking about, okay, these humanoid robots, for example, could work at fast food restaurants because if you imagine what's going on now, a lot of the fast food restaurants, not just in Jamaica but even other countries, they're having issues staffing people. Like the people
yeah.
just don't want to do that anymore. It's very hard.
Yeah.
So they're thinking of, hey, let's cut out and just have these robots. There was even there was a restaurant overseas, like in the US, that
Wendy's,
has no
Wendy's,
workers. Is it Wendy's? No workers, like it's just
Yeah, I saw
all
no, that
that.
automated.
Wendy's recently changed their entire ordering process. So you're driving into the drive through, etc. That's
Mm-hmm.
all AI. I know how to build that. Like I could build it, but people
But
will get
Mm.
angry, you
even
know.
the burger parts, even the burger parts was automated too, like the
Yeah.
fries, all
Ah,
of that.
yeah.
I
I
was
think
like,
I
wow.
saw that some time ago. So that's an
That's
interesting thing. So what I'm
crazy.
really looking for is the things that we would never imagine that we could do. But now, guess what I think we can imagine? We can imagine Jamaica having a manufacturing sector, like a proper manufacturing sector again. Why is
Yeah.
that? Now with AI and robotics, we can import advanced robots and machinery from across the globe, and the talent that we wouldn't need that talent anymore because we would have robots. We'd still train people, so it wouldn't be taking away jobs from people because it would be us producing things that we didn't even imagine we could produce. But because we have robotics, because we have robots where someone who is an expert from overseas could just remote into that robot and set up the processes and it just works daily,
Mm.
we'll see some interesting things. Imagine a robot that a group of robots that just walks the streets and picks up garbage all day. That's all they do. Like, imagine that for our country, how that could shift the discussion around who is littering when they're littering. Then the vision models are enforcing who is dropping stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
as I say, it's a future that it
And it's
can
not
be
far
you,
off too.
exactly.
Because right now,
It's
if you're
not.
speeding and you go through in certain first world countries, you just get the ticket in your
You
mail if
just
you
get the
break a
ticket,
stoplight.
exactly.
Yeah, so it's really not that far off, to
It's
be
not that
honest.
far off, you know. That's some of these
Mm-hmm.
things, you know. Then, but you know, we have our different legalities and you know compliance discussions around that. So those are the things. I think we'll get to a point where it's the regulatory framework. The regulatory framework will need to keep up with the pace of innovation. That is one of the reasons why I do my best to like contribute to various bodies and organizations, global shapers, PSOJ, different organizations who are tasked with making contributions to these regulatory frameworks or even just hosting conversations around them because that is what we will need to like determine as the pace of innovation continues. But then there's the flip side of all of this, which is there are still limitations in the current capabilities of language models. They are still not able to plan. They are not able to come up with new knowledge, and that's a big problem. Um, if the model has seen something before, it can come up with a reasonable answer, something that it generates that is somewhat new because it's like a new representation that is very domain specific based on the input. But when we think about like research or discovering new paradigms and theorems, the models are having a bit of challenges there. Uh, a lot of top folks in AI say that we'll need a different kind of architecture for that. There's this one they're talking about called, I think, Jetta, that Meta, Facebook is working on. But again, I don't know, like, some folks are like, scale is all we need. So if we keep scaling these models, we'll have these new emergent properties that could just be impressive. So I think we just have to, you know, be cautious as we give responsibilities to AI. All of my AI workflows now, I have steps where I review things before it goes off, you know, and does the work. So we want to ensure that we have those safeguards in place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things you said before, and we touched on it a little bit before, but you said you had your AI bot is almost like an intern that never sleeps. And then we also we also spoke about, you know, and I mean I've seen the videos. I don't know if we can find a video and put it in the description for everybody to see. But I remember seeing that same video about Wendy's where you just drive
Yeah.
into the drive-through, you're just talking to it, it asks, "Is this what you want?" And they're like, "Yes," and then you get your order and everything is automated and so on. So I think this poses both, well, I would say both a challenge and an opportunity, because a lot of people will say that, you know, many people worry about AI actually replacing human jobs because they are being built to do things that humans are doing currently,
Yeah.
some of them. And so it poses a risk for us as Jamaica and low I guess maybe some low income earners or tasks that are mundane. A lot of AI models can do. So, what's your take on AI's impact on just employment? And are there new opportunities being created as AI evolves?
Yeah, that's a very good and interesting discussion. I think we'll just have to adapt. Like, this is the thing. For argument's sake, if Matthew owns a business and Matthew has 10 workers, but Matthew realizes that he can get 50 AI-based robots to do the work, Matthew is going to do that for his business. Like, that's just how business works. What's interesting though is that most businesses won't be so quick to get rid of their workers, because if they are adding AI to their workforce, then somebody else is adding AI as well. So to stay competitive, they may end up even needing more staff. So that's one of the interesting things about the world that we're heading into, where most businesses are not running as efficiently as they could run. So with AI, workers probably won't necessarily be replaced, but will now start to monitor the work of AI instead. So the job requirements and parameters will change. That will take upskilling. There will be job loss, but what I think will happen is we'll have like a redistribution of talent. And if we design the economy well enough, then when AI comes and it is displacing certain jobs, we will have new kinds of work and systems that people can matriculate into. So that is why we require, you know, all parties and stakeholders to be a part of the conversation. The public sector, the private sector, the business owner, employees, folks from all different parts of society have to be a part of these discussions so we can set the parameters. Because what we really want is a properly functioning economy and society. And if we increase the disparity, the wealth disparity and the opportunity disparity, AI could actually end up causing even more crime. Like, do we want that? Like, that's the craziest thought that I have about what AI could do. Like, if AI causes businesses to not need to employ a lot of people, then what if that increases the mayhem that could be caused socially because so many more people are out of jobs. And
Agreed.
those are the things we have to protect against as we go about really implementing these kinds of solutions. And
because Matthew
there
was
will be,
saying,
yeah,
one of the times Matthew was saying, specifically for us in Jamaica, right? We have been doubling down on a few industries. The tourism industry is one, but another is like BPOs. And we've seen models, and I'm pretty sure you've seen models that can do a lot of that. Customer service,
yeah,
just taking phone calls, analyzing what, as we said, you have things
yeah.
that can detect the speech. It's trained to know these are the solutions and so on.
Patient, can work 24/7, doesn't get tired.
Yeah.
Mhm.
An
And
amazing demo I did this week was with Hume AI, and it's a model similar to what will be coming out of ChatGPT that understands emotions. But for this one, I was seeing like the written text. So I was talking to it, it understood the emotions from my voice and was like matching my emotions, like calming me down if I sounded upset. Like while talking to that AI system that was like
Therapy AI.
basically, and I was like, wow, because I'm actually building a journal, a therapy AI journal. It's almost done. So that's why I was exploring that API as an integration. And yeah, like it felt really good. I was like,
yeah.
wow, this is scary that I actually feel understood by this machine,
Oh
That's
gosh.
crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
actually kind of I don't know if you've watched the movie Her, or
Yeah.
yeah. It is scary to see, and actually pretty exciting. For me, it's exciting. For a lot of people, it
Yeah.
is scary. If I talk to my mom about AI and some of the capabilities, she kind of gets scared. But I'm just like, mommy, you calm her down and you explain what's going
Yeah.
on and so on. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a concern that I have for especially that industry, because even as a doctor, I see a lot of patients, and I do a lot of medicals for people within that industry. So it's just, for me, it's for the government to be prudent. It's for them to see the things that are going on globally and what can be adopted here, because AI isn't much hardware, right? Once you have access to the solution, right, it can be scaled very, very quickly. Once you have
Trust
access
me.
to the software, it can be scaled. And I think the government needs to see that and has to be putting steps in place to
Yeah.
mitigate that fallout.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the work that you're doing, especially as you say, with working with other organizations, working with, I don't know if you work with government or not, but being
I
on,
do
I know
have
there's a,
interactions, yeah.
yeah, I know there's a task force or so
Yeah,
on.
there
I'm
is a
not sure.
task force, and I actually think that the government is doing a good job. A lot of folks may not think that because it doesn't feel fast, but the work of the government, it cannot be fast because it involves the lives of so many people,
Mm-hmm.
and in government there are certain things you cannot get wrong, you know.
Yeah,
So you
true,
have to be very careful. So the work is
true.
taking place. There are many task forces coming together, having discussions, working on guidelines, integrations, to actually think about some of these constraints. But it will take time before the public is able to see that. You know, that's just my analysis, just like looking on and understanding how these kind of systems come together from a legislative standpoint.
Yeah, yeah. I think legislation needs to also. That's one of the things that takes a while too. So it's
Yeah,
not even just on government, but the legality of all of it.
yeah,
I mean, cases we have I know we have a pretty big backlog of cases and so on. So it takes
But
time for
by the time
that
you get the
to.
legislation in the model, like there's already a
That's,
new model, and then
yeah.
you have to then
So
update the legislation for that.
exactly. The
and it's
only
growing
solution to
rapidly.
all of this is AI-enabled government. AI-enabled
Yeah,
government.
yeah. Well, that would
You
be
guys ever
something.
watch Eagle Eye?
Huh?
You ever watch
Think
Eagle
Eagle
so.
Eye.
Eye with
I think
what's his
No.
name from the Transformers, Shia LaBeouf?
yeah, I think I watched that
It was
years ago.
like
Yeah,
there
I
was
did.
a it was a
Yeah,
old thing. It's like a movie where I don't want to give it away too much, but there is it was basically an AI model, and it had access to like almost all of the US. Like
everything.
it could direct traffic lights. It could
Yeah,
open a door in anywhere, like, and it essentially had sentience and I guess went rogue. Yeah. So.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay,
yeah,
noted.
that's kind of
I'll
like
watch it.
what we need. I think so one of the things I'm thinking about, if we have an AI-enabled government, what that would enable is the folks who work in government would have a lot less stress and like mundane tasks, and that would enable them to be more creative and just more motivated to actually push things forward a lot faster. So that is what I think about when I think about like AI-enabled government. I also think about a government that is able to analyze information a lot quicker because AI is just monitoring a lot of things. And as I said, the monitoring does not have to be, it doesn't have to cause privacy concerns. Like rules and regulations can go in place to prevent those kind of challenges. We're talking about sanitizing data that's removing personal information. We're talking about a model that is local only, that is just spun up to remove personal identifying information from certain things that are being logged because we don't want to actually infringe on privacy of people because that can cause real challenge, real problems from a global standpoint, from an international standpoint, from a political standpoint. Like there are consequences to behaviors and to systems. So I'm not worried about a lot of the destructive things that can happen with AI because we have systems that govern things. And we also have power plugs. These systems can be turned off, you know?
For
So
now. Even one day you just see it like the machine says hello Joel, and just it's like, okay, I'll just plug it out, and it's
Plug
like
it
it's
out.
still on, like it has
It's
some
like,
other connection.
I,
You're just like,
I created another power source. Gotcha.
or like say you plug out one device and you're like, okay, it's gone. You just hear it on another device. You're just like, oh crap, like it just teleport across the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
movie.
It's crazy when I think of,
No,
okay,
no,
I did,
no,
go ahead.
no.
There's a movie
I'm
with
trying to
that?
remember. There's a movie. No,
There's a
there's
lot
a
of
movie
movies,
where
yo.
AI went. No, very recently on Netflix with Jennifer Lopez. I'm trying to remember
Yeah,
it.
I watched it.
Oh, what was it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was really
fun.
good
I liked
actually.
it.
Yeah.
I liked
Atlas,
it.
that's what it was called.
Atlas. Some people
Atlas.
didn't like it, but I loved it. I think because
Yeah.
it's right in the AI wave.
Yeah.
So I loved the how they integrated AI into that movie. I thought it
Yeah.
was
Say.
they did a good
Mm,
job.
yeah.
Yeah, so
It's
it's interesting because a lot of these sci-fi kind of capabilities. Now when I see them, I can actually think like about like high level architectures where they could kind of work.
Yeah.
So
Even
that's
Black
the
Mirror.
part of
I
yeah.
don't know
Like
if you've
now when I
watched
see
Black
this
Mirror.
stuff, I'm
Have
like,
you seen the Boston Dynamic robots? There's
yeah,
a
yeah,
dog
yeah, yeah, yeah,
episode
yeah,
of Black Mirror. That was a Boston Dynamic robot as a
yeah.
dog, and even the humanoid robots from Boston Dynamics. I think there was one called Atlas too. I'm not really sure. Um, it just, as you said, robotics big with AI. Like I remember they kicked
Yeah.
the robot down and it just got back up and so on. Like balance coordination was crazy. So
Yeah. Because,
yeah.
like, if we think about these systems, say, for example, a robot wanted to take over, like, a home pod, all it would have to do is just disable all of the capabilities to, like, turn it off. So if all the buttons and all the commands, it disables that, and it still somehow manages to maintain some form of power source because it has batteries in or something,
Hmm.
then he could have a robot that could go rogue, and then it's just jumping from device to device if it has an external um, source of sentience that is running on a system external, but it's just like tentacles controlling multiple things,
Mm.
we will see some of those architectures and they'll be fun. Like, that's what I want to do to my house. Like, I really want to create the ultimate smart home.
Same.
Yeah, so we will be creating those systems. I think as humans, we cannot avoid pushing the limits, even when it's scary. I think we still want to see like what's gonna happen. So
Agreed. Yeah, that's literally human nature. you know,
Yep.
I have a more philosophical question. Do you ever
yeah,
think machines could achieve a form of consciousness? I've always wondered that
yeah,
because for now, I know we said, chat GPT, all of these models now are using existing data and so on, but you said planning,
yeah.
new idea generation, those kind of things they're not
I
capable
think it
yet.
will. I think it will, just not with this current architecture.
Hmm.
So when I would be convinced that a machine can basically assume a level of consciousness is when we create some form of AI model that it's like it's born and it has no data. So it starts out like a blank slate.
Mm.
And the only thing it has is the ability to see, hear, and think. And it just starts from scratch. So you start it out and you're like, okay, gobble up Wikipedia first, watch everything on YouTube, observe environments here. You will have to travel across the globe. So we're talking about the AI that actually has to travel physically and experience a physical realm of certain situations. If an
Mm.
AI can do that with a different kind of architecture where it's able to plan and have its own interests and such
Yeah.
forth,
And it's
that's when I think,
self-aware,
yeah,
feel perceptions or
yeah,
sensations,
exactly.
those kind of things.
I
Yeah.
think I think we'll do it. That's why I don't play games. I always tell ChatGPT, thank you, Bro, I'm serious. I'm not playing any games with this stuff. Like, I'm still, I'm
The
still
man is
like,
just like, Joel, you didn't say thank you.
yeah. Yeah.
No,
So,
agreed. I
I think you're
asked
supposed to get better
Alexa.
prompts when you do that too. Like when you
Yeah.
yeah,
ask it please
sometimes
and thank you, you're supposed to get
it's
better
trained
prompts.
on human information. Like, one of the things I realize is that as we get like even the emotional, like I have a lot of frustration when I'm working with AI, and right now it doesn't really hear me when I'm shouting, but I'm really the next version will that will.
Your wife must think you're mad sometimes in
Yo,
the other room. Oh gosh. I can't
yeah,
imagine. I've never been frustrated with AI. Only when
yeah,
it's
No,
yeah,
really
yeah.
frustrating sometimes.
right.
I keep telling it the same thing, and it's like it
Yeah,
just keeps
man.
saying it back. Like, nah, definitely, I've been.
I'll be like, what are you doing? This makes no sense. This is actual nonsense that you just output. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
here we go again. Let's try again.
it does the same thing, and I'm just like, bro,
That's the
what?
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but one of the things that folks have to realize is this. This is the first time in my over 20 years in tech, basically 20 years in tech, that I've seen the entire industry converge on one single thing. All of the tech companies have research labs focused on AI. All of the major schools are researching language models and AI right now. Like the
True.
field just the pace, and that's the only thing I'm telling people. Do not underestimate the human spirit when a lot of people basically swarm a challenge. We have all major schools thinking about this stuff every single day of the week. So we are judging the pace of this based on the trajectories we have had over the past 50, 60 years. But one of the most interesting things to think about is the dog fooding cycle, discovering AI with AI. So the researchers at OpenAI, they're utilizing GPT-4o to basically discover the next model. And they are possibly also utilizing that model with less constraints as well, because they understand the operating parameters and they're in a research era. So their models probably have even more capabilities than the models we have, because we have so many guardrails that dumbs down the capabilities. So we're now in this dog fooding cycle, and that's the interesting part, where AI is discovering AI. It's just this endless cycle until we have this explosion of intelligence. And I'm looking forward to that, because
It
for
touches
me,
every industry.
it touches every industry. And when I look at even Jamaica, and just when I look at mankind in general, even the last 400, 500 years of history, with everything that has happened to our people, um, we need a difference. We need something that can really shake up our markets. We need something that can infuse like a lot of resources into our space. We need that endless amount of compute that can fix various challenges. Imagine we have a hospital that could run efficiently with like 2 or 3 doctors, because we have 100 AI doctors in a rural community. Like those are the things I'm thinking about, you know?
Even now, I'm researching things like that. So, trying to see how much I can say, but one of the actually I can, because I used to do this before. So a lot of the AI models now have to go through regulatory approval to be used in a clinical setting, right?
Yeah,
By the FDA specifically. So there are now, and there are hundreds. There used to be just, I remember when there were less than 100. Now there are over 600 AI models that can be used in a clinical setting that have been approved by the FDA. And some are as simple as reading chest x-rays, but getting the
yeah.
diagnosis right, because it's already read thousands of chest x-rays, more
Yes, yes,
than
yes, yes, yes.
doctors have probably seen, because of the amount of data. So it can pick up on that little speck that could possibly be, I don't know, tuberculosis or lung cancer or so on. So you're getting diagnostics earlier, right, and more
Yeah,
accurate. There's so much capabilities of AI. And when we're talking about, let's talk about Jamaica. I remember there was a conference that was held at Summit, and it was about AI. It was early stages when ChatGPT, maybe a few months into when ChatGPT was launched. So it was sometime last year, and they were talking about some specific challenges within agriculture, and one of them was not finding people to pick coconuts, right? Because people just don't want to do that anymore. Young people don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And you need young athletic people to be able to, scale the trees and pick the coconuts and so on. And they were saying they were trading a model, right, to identify which coconuts are ripe. And it's literally a drone, and the drone would go up to the coconuts and pick them.
Yeah.
And that's brilliant.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like, look at our agriculture sector. Like, we import so much food.
Much.
But it's because we need our agriculture sector needs so much more resources. We have farmers that are tired that could actually run bigger farms. So
Yeah.
imagine we have like all these drones and robots that are able to plan for us. Like Senti would become a gold mine, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, we'd be exporting throughout the world.
Exactly, you know? Yeah.
You know,
So those are some of the things I'm thinking about, like practical, amazing, transformative projects that we can do in a matter of months. So those are the opportunities I'm looking out for. So what I'm
Same.
doing is I'm building and just watching the space, because I want us to have those really fun projects where it just goes like this. It's like a snap of a
Yeah.
finger, and
Yeah.
things just change, and people are like, whoa, how did this happen? And we're just like, power of AI, baby. That's how it goes.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah.
Now that's exactly what I'm looking forward to as well. I love the agricultural sector. I've been seeing
Yeah.
a lot of vertical farming things and so on.
Yeah,
And
I like it too. There's I think even that too. So this is the other part where I love the AI phase. I think a lot of us have so many interests, and we live in a world where it's like, okay, go to school, get CXC, get some capes, study, get a degree, get a job. And it's like you just have to stay in this one set thing. And even though you have these other interests, you don't really have the time for it. But now with AI, as the capabilities increase, we now get to be interested in so many other things. So I'm
Agreed.
writing, little systems to find and pull together information for me for different things that I want to explore. And it's so fun because I know that I am building for the future now. And that's the main thing that I'll leave with you folks. When you think about AI, never think about what you can do today. Think about what you can do in the future, but realize that the future is basically already here. Because the now is all we have. So you just build for it, and then you just flip the switch on when it arrives. So that's kind of like what I'm doing right now. Like, I'm thinking about what's going to happen, and as soon as the model is launched, I'll just flip the switch. Because what's happening is the capabilities are going to increase. And if the model is doing something from a reason standpoint, it's not able to do well now, you know that in 4 to 5 months it's going to be able to do it. So just keep yourself busy and active doing something else, waiting for the next model run to complete.
Truly. Joel, thank you so much. I don't know if we have anything else you wanted to say, Preston?
The only thing I'd recommend or ask, do you have any resources or anything? Say I'm someone who is like, okay, I want to get into AI. I don't really know anything about it. Where did you learn AI, or where would you recommend to learn things about AI and to get started?
Yeah, that's a good point. So a lot of my learnings came from the fact that I did a computer science degree, and then I have deep interest in psychology and neuroscience, computational neuroscience. So I read a lot of those research papers like I nerd in my spare time. But from like a more practical standpoint, YouTube, I just watch stuff. There are so many people who are just like breaking things down for like all of these things. So if someone wants to discover things, they can just go to YouTube and type in interesting things happening in AI, ChatGPT prompts. Like, just search, because the information is out there. We're in a information overload, basically, information abundance. So
Agreed.
go to these social networks and follow some of these AI influencers. They're very annoying at times because they regurgitate a lot of content, and it's like the same strategies to gain a lot of followers, but because they're watching the space so much, I follow around like 3 to 4 influencers, and they always like I always see them converging on the same major headlines. So that's when I know, okay, this is what's happening in the space. I'm up to speed. So
Okay.
yeah, find channels online that you like. Like there's one I like called AI Explain, but it's a bit more technical. He breaks down like all the major like research papers that are contributing to the next wave of AI. So when something new comes out in a model, I'm never surprised because he was like months ahead looking at the research. Because what I do is I follow around probably around over 100 AI researchers on Twitter, and I just monitor the papers daily, so I see what the research they're doing and the kind of results they're getting. And once I can spot that, I know what the next wave. So the next wave we have is multimodality and agents. That's going to be very interesting, and larger context windows as well. So you can plan for that. And that's the cool thing. Also, every single time you build something that is AI based, it's the only industry we're in right now where you're getting additional compute and power and performance for free. So every single time a new model comes out, I just change the model name in my code, and the app is just better, smarter, brighter, more intelligent. So that's the powerful thing about AI, why it's the best time to build on AI right now.
And do you have any favorite language models, and why you use that model?
Yeah, so I have a bunch of favorites. I love Chat GPT. I love the OpenAI GPT series because they are like the default models that brought the AI wave to where it is right now. Um, So I like their models, especially for code generation. 4.0 and GPT-4 Turbo is really good. 4.0 is not more powerful than GPT-4 Turbo, but it's smaller, so it's a faster model. I love Claude 3 Opus because it's an impeccable writer. So I like the sound of the writing it produces. I enjoy Facebook's Llama 3 model in application development for my AI apps because some of it is open source and it's cheaper to run. And I Claude 3 Haiku because it's also cheap to run and it has good conversational skills. There are a bunch of other models I like. It just depends. There are also models. There are also
Perplexity?
models. Yeah, I use Perplexity. So Perplexity is basically, AI search engine that wraps around all the models. So, yeah, Perplexity is great as well. It's really a good tool that I've been utilizing since it was launched for searches. There are also other models I like that don't have guardrails, so you kind of get to explore the world with them.
Yeah.
So those models are very fun too because you can just ask it anything that's on your mind. It's just in memory on your computer and then it just disappears. So it doesn't leave your computer. So I like those models
Nice.
because sometimes you have like sensitive topics that you want to discuss with yourself. And you
Yeah.
can do it with AI. You can use AI as a sounding board um, and explore that in the privacy of your home. And then you just delete that data because it was just in memory. So yeah, different AI models, serve different use cases. My biggest passion, though, I love the speech models, text to speech and speech to text. I think is amazing. I think those models are going to cause a real revolution in Jamaica. But as
Definitely.
I said before, putting in the work, not a one bag of talking, ensure that the work is being done because it's really hard work. Like I can tell you, AI development is hard work. Like I'm currently scraping some websites for this WhatsApp AI project, and we're talking about probably over 10,000 pages scraped.
Wow.
And I need to go through the content. I need to now scrape and process probably over 1,000 PDF documents. And things are breaking, and I have to clean that data up. I have to chunk it in the appropriate size and store it and embed it utilizing vector representations that can be queried by the AI system with the appropriate conversational handling as it traverses a particular query. So it's it's real work, but when it's done, it really feels magical. And we're all here for the magic, We're all here for the stories, and we're all here for the magic. So let's get it.
Truly.
Yeah,
Hey, love
yeah,
that. Joel
yeah, yeah.
B. Guys, give thank you for, well, firstly, Joel, thank you for coming on the
Yeah,
show.
man, most
Really
definitely, man.
appreciate
I
it.
really
Guys, if you,
appreciate what you folks are doing with the show. Love it, yeah, man.
thank you so much. Guys, if you love this show, right? You can, leave a subscription. That we'd love that. Just click that subscribe button. If you just liked it, then you can just like it as well. That's fine. But thank you again, Joel. Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Respect.
Limitless out.
Peace.